And we are here.
We're here, bumble bitches.
In the studio.
I have fluffy hair today.
AKA To Be Better Productions. No, I'm just...
I think that we should have To Be Better Productions.
Just more work.
Yeah.
So in the effort to minimize workload and streamline content, we are recording once again live for our Patreon community in our studio, even though this will be used as episode
227.
Yeah, episode 27 of season 2 of the To Be Better podcast. There will be weird camera switches as I'm over here pushing buttons so that I don't have to edit this shit later.
Yep.
But if you are a member of our Patreon community, you are unaware that this is happening. Moving forward, we'll be recording all of our podcasts live. It'll be random, be posted to Discord and to Patreon before it happens, but you have to be a member of the $15 tier or higher to see it. Just one more thing that we're trying to do to add value to our Patreon community.
Yeah.
We will be trying to avoid the chat as much as possible while reading emails. However, it's like a big fucking neon sign, and it's so very hard not to see the chat.
And some people say really funny shit sometimes.
Yeah, it's too good to not.
Right.
So we are still working on the new format of things. I think, house cleaning real quick, I think it also makes it so I don't have to remove the banter.
Oh, that's nice.
Because the people who are listening on YouTube, if they don't like it, they can just skip forward. Or if they're listening, skip it 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever, however long you think might be recorded. I don't know.
Can't we put a timestamp?
No, because it's just more work for me.
Heard.
And I don't remember what I was going to say now. So
house cleaning.
Because we are trying to streamline our workload.
Yeah.
So Thursdays are our record days because we don't have kids, even during summer vacation, because Thursdays are our first day of the week where we don't have children. We are going to do all of our recording on Thursdays. And then we'll do our live stream Wednesdays and Sundays the way that we always do, which gives me time to edit, work on the voice of the broken, and do all of that shit while you do the Peaches thing. Do you want to talk about your murder mystery at all?
I do. So, oh gosh, we say it all the time. Life is such a whirlwind for us. It is nonstop. And when I think the dust is settling, it gets kicked back up. And 9 times out of 10, it's my brain that does it. And I have all of these projects that I want to do, and I do not have the time to do all of them. And I have sat down with the limited time that I have, and I've decided out of all of my projects, the 2 that I want to give the most attention to is the garden segments. And then I want to start a full-blown true crime murder mystery side project. And it will be a once a week, it will be a weekly release. So there will be 2 episodes
of standalone Peach
Peach content. Yeah.
Do you think that you're going to do that on like a schedule or just whenever you feel like it?
I think it's going to be a schedule. I am thinking maybe Friday nights.
That won't work if we're playing D&D.
Oh, fuck, that's right. I was thinking more along the lines of you playing video games here Friday nights.
Do it Friday mornings.
We could do Friday mornings, yeah.
Give something people to listen to while they're at work. Our lives do better in the mornings anyways.
Yeah. I could be up at the ass crack of dawn. If y'all are driving to work at 7 a.m., I could be on here 7 a.m. And then he took the knife.
We would definitely need to figure out schedules for that. And you just said live.
Yeah, I would want it to be live. I think I want to do it live.
Yeah.
It's fun to do it live. I think I would want to do... Oh, gosh. I could make an episode last for 2 hours, but I don't want it to. So I want to dial myself in a little bit. I think I want to have a 45-minute episode and then have like 20 minutes banter back and forth with a live chat.
Would be a good thing to do if you go live on TikTok while you're doing it too.
Yeah.
Because that could be a thing for your subscribers on TikTok.
I don't know. I'm kind of worried about TikTok.
Why?
Because I don't want to say something that'll get me a strike.
Do you have any strikes right now?
No, I don't. But
I have 4 of them.
I got dangerously close to my account being deleted.
I had one more and I would have gotten it. Luckily, they gave me 2 strikes for duetting your videos.
Yeah, I got a strike for that too a couple of months ago. I got a strike for adding stories to my story that's not original content.
Right.
Yep.
It's wild. Okay. So we're gonna you can read that while I read this. Do you see what Zach is saying? I just want to make sure that you don't pass up what Zach is saying.
Well, I recommend weekly releases, maybe bi-weekly.
Feels good to get it out, elbow cough.
What about elbow?
He's trying to make sure that you don't stretch yourself too thin.
I appreciate that, guys.
It should be a when you feel like it, and we'll schedule it when you feel like it. So,
But I can't live by that because then I'll become lazy when I feel like it. Well, I don't feel like it, and I haven't felt like it for the last 3 weeks.
right. I get that. I have to have a schedule too.
I have to have a schedule for it. I do deeply appreciate you guys caring. It means a lot. Sure, content is what I was talking about. The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, he can message us. We're not supposed to be paying attention to the chat right now.
Okay.
Trying to keep you on task is what that was, because we're supposed to be recording a podcast right now.
But you told me to look at his
know,
comment. I'm so confused.
This is not going to be easy.
Okay, I'm closing my eyes.
This is not going to be easy.
Go.
All right. So I'm reading from Healing from Infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
You can open your eyes.
I can't.
You can.
I have to focus.
I bought this book because when I bought Not Just Friends, it recommended it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I should buy that book because it's got to be similar. It's right. Not similar at all. This book is written from a person who was not able to reconcile their marriage, which is what I thought it was.
Okay, so right off the bat, sounds a little bitter.
It is all about healing from being cheated on, but not reconciling the marriage. It's also written from a woman's perspective, so there's not a double-sided story here. Every time a gender is mentioned, it's always the man cheating and never the woman. And when they do mention the woman cheating, she refers to both partners instead of saying women, which really fucking bothers me.
Oh, ew, that sounds like hardcore feminazi shit.
Yeah. However, there is a chapter in here that is the golden nugget.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that there was one in all of that.
It's also a super thin book. I got through this in an hour and a half. So
I believe that.
Chapter 3 is the differences between man and woman, mental thoughts, etc.
I read the chat. I need you to read it again. I'm so sorry.
The differences between man and woman, mental thoughts, etc.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to read this and we'll discuss as we need to. So just say pause when you need me to pause. Would you like me to minimize the chat so you can't see it?
No, this also helps me focus on what you're saying. I can zone out on the painting behind you and I will not hear anything you're saying. So,
how to solve the problem. Usually, when a woman encounters something troublesome, she will tell it to her friend, her husband, or even a person sitting on the bus. Others write it in a diary, send it in a message to someone, or post a status online on the social network.
Okay, I already need to pause you. So she said women, but then she said others. Are women included in the others? Okay.
Women argue that when the problem is shared, it will be easy to solve or simply steal the heart. What will a man do when he gets in trouble? The answer is he will do nothing. He will lie on the sofa watching TV in silence. Men distract themselves from the problem, and when they feel calmer, they will begin to work out the course alone. For gentlemen, the advice just makes them feel more overwhelmed. I agree with that to an extent.
Okay.
I actually agree with that kind of a lot because I'm not bringing I made a TikTok about this morning. I'm not bringing my problems to you until
you know what the problem
I have a resolution, because if I'm bringing every little nook and cranny to you, you're going to get really fucking stressed out. We are going to become at odds because our life is going to seem super fucking chaotic, and you're no longer going to be able to make your way downtown walking fast.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not going to be a thing because you're going to be wrapped up in all the stresses that it's my job as your husband to deal with. Mm-hmm. It then goes on to say, when men are angry or sad, they will remain silent. Men's silence always makes women afraid, but when women are angry or sad, they will cry, and everyone should know that tears are women's dangerous weapon.
I agree with that.
I agree with most of that. I know a lot of men who are not quiet or silent when sad or angry. I know a lot of men who are emotionally unregulated and are giant fucking sobbing disaster
I'm such
pieces.
a piece of shit.
Manipulators. Yeah. Right. Emotional ability. It is believed that women are able to recognize the images, speech, and cues of those around them very quickly. When a woman walks into a crowded room, she will carefully observe and recognize the facial expressions, moods, and attitudes of each person. Meanwhile, the men are focused on looking for familiar faces, both they like or they don't like. I strongly disagree with this.
Why?
Because when I walk into a room, I'm assessing threats.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for friends. I'm looking for exits. I'm looking for people that could cause problems. Like, if I'm walking into a party or we're going somewhere where I know there's going to be a lot of people and I'm safe in that environment, then yes, that's how my life is. I'm looking to
Okay.
see who's there. I'm scanning the room so that I can start making my rounds and be the social butterfly that I struggle to be, because I want to be accessible to everybody that I care about, right? But when I'm going into a new place, that's not how that works. If I'm going to the gym, I know the gym, like where we used to work out. I knew where all the exits were. I was still looking for threats and assessing the situation, who's working, where the personal trainers are, who's here today. There's a whole lot of checklist shit that goes through my brain. And a lot of people say that that's a trauma response. And it could be. It very well could be. But I don't think that all men, or most men for that matter, are focused on looking for familiar faces that they like or don't like. I think that most of us are assessing threats and looking for exits and like,
Yeah. I think that the way that was phrased kind of makes men sound,
aloof.
aloof, like they are not capable. They're less intelligent when they walk into a room. They're looking for the simpler things because that they have simple minds.
Right. That's how I took that too when I read
Yeah.
it. She also said when a woman walks into a crowded room, she will carefully observe and recognize the facial expressions, moods, and attitudes of each person. If that's the case, she's also responding out of a trauma response because she's trying to make sure that she's walking into a safe scenario.
I agree with that 100% because I am that woman.
Not when you're with me, you're not.
When I'm with you, no. If we're walking, no, I mean, majority of the time, if we're out in public and we're walking into a gas station, I'm not doing that. If we do a meet and greet, I'm doing that.
Right. Because
it's prolonged periods of time with people I don't know.
Right.
And I'm about to be very emotionally open. Someone being an emotional threat to me is scarier than someone being a physical threat to me.
Why? How?
Because I grew up where there was psychological warfare. You can fucking hit me. It's going to sting and then
Oh, go away.
do it again. Let's
Right.
go. I've also learned how to defend myself. So you might take me down, but bitch, you're going to go down with me. When it comes to the psychological warfare, I have gone down a deep dive. Have you heard of Unit 731? It's believed, there are people who say it's just made up conspiracy bullshit. But there are people who are coming out and claiming that they were children who were brainwashed with torture. And because of the psychological warfare that was placed upon them, they are really severely fucked up now as adults. And the more that I understand what happened to me psychologically as a child, the more I'm trying not to be afraid of it. But we are really weak beings.
Yeah, we are very fragile.
We really fucking are, especially when it comes to our psychology. And when I walk into a room, especially because of how I am as a human being, people want to be around me. And people are emotional vampires. I get drained so easily.
Yeah.
So when I walk into a room, if somebody is moping or they're causing a scene because they're not happy and now everybody needs to be unhappy, they are 100% a threat to me. And I'm still working on trying to defend myself against that. Did all of that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But that is why I do that when I walk into a room, because psychologically I'm still working on how to defend me.
Emotionally, you mean?
Yeah, emotionally, to keep my mental state safe. Defend me doesn't sound right. I guess that's what it is. I'm closing up my fortress.
Mm-hmm.
The moat's there. There's fucking gators. I want to cuss less. There's gators. I'm going to keep rambling because I feel like I haven't landed my point. But if you understand my point.
You've got your point. I was going
Okay.
to chime in. I think that that's a healthy thing to have. This just falls under the protect your peace thing, though.
Yeah.
I don't deal with mopey people anymore. Sean and I talked about this in the gym this morning. We had a conversation this morning because of the amount of people that we know who live in that mopey mindset. And I could give you names, you would know exactly who I'm talking about.
I'm
sure I don't
picturing
have
people
to.
already.
Okay. Those people make really good money.
Yeah.
They have running water. Their kids are fed. They have a roof over their
They
head.
have relationships.
They're married and good relationships with good people.
with people who love them.
Right. And they still find reasons to fucking complain and mope about their lives. Yeah. And those type of people I can't have around me because their bullshit seeps into mine and makes my bullshit way fucking worse.
Yeah.
I realize when I'm starting to get depressed or I'm having a bad day, I can look at my life and go, my life is really fucking great. This is stressful right now. This is stress. This is exhaustion. Mm-hmm. I should probably go do something to recharge. This is not depression. I don't want to eliminate myself. I want to problem
fix
solve.
what's happening right now. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes, that can take different effects. But when I'm around people who are constantly moping and depressed, it affects my mental health.
It's like being stained, right? So the hair dye that I use will stain my skin. And if I'm quick about it and get it off, it won't. But if I don't notice it for 10 or 15 minutes, that's going to be on my face for days. It will eventually come out, but it's going to be there for a bit.
That was good. That was a good metaphor.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so back to the book. This says basic brain difference. If men often think about technical issues, sports, and especially sexuality, then women focus on fashion and sharing.
One more time.
This is stupid. Basic brain difference. If men,
hang on. Basic brain difference between men and women.
Yeah.
Okay.
If men often think about technical issues, sports, and especially sexuality, then women focus on fashion and sharing. This was written by a woman. This is not men shit. So,
Well, this woman clearly doesn't fucking understand women.
okay. She then goes on to write. Let me get through this paragraph.
Okay.
A better understanding of space in men, the brain is better at the perception of space. Concentration.
I'm sorry. One more time. That didn't make sense to me. Perception. The space is the perception of space?
And perception of the space around them, their environment.
Okay. So this isn't internally. This
Right.
is, okay.
Concentration and intuition. As a result, the coordination of hand movements, eyes, rotation, and stability are better when compared to women. On the other hand, men's brains also deal with abstract information such as reading maps and instruction better than women. So I agree with some of that. I think that the natural abilities and balance and things of that nature make us more proficient hunters. That also comes down to muscle structure. If you have somebody who has better muscle anatomy, they can balance better. They're not going to get wobbly. They're going to be able to perform longer duties, etc. The male mind is of reasoning, analysis, problem solving. For them, work is more important than words.
For men, work is more important than words.
Yep. And the woman is intuitive and real. For them, the word is important. So when I heard this, I thought, okay, well, that kind of makes sense because we are not supposed to be emotionally vulnerable. We're supposed to be hardworking, providing, protecting, leading, stoic. You guys don't want us to be bumbling, sobbing idiots. You want us to fucking perform and do what needs to be done. This book also said that women might not have been this book. It might have been the other one. I read back to back within the last 3 days. But one of them said that women look for protection and resources and a mate. That's the first thing that you guys look for when looking for a mate. And for men, it's beauty, which makes sense because
You are visual creatures.
Right.
That is how your brain is stimulated.
Correct. Okay, back to this.
Okay.
Women hear more than men.
Women hear more than men?
Yep.
Okay.
The Johns Hopkins University study found that men are 5.5 times more likely to have a hearing impairment than women.
5.5 times more likely to have a hearing impairment.
Yep. While the ability to hear newborns between men and women is not much that different, men lose sight of high frequency sounds and women lose hearing at low frequencies. Experts say the auditory changes are due to the effects of external factors and habits. Yeah, no shit. If you're working in a blue collar job and you're around drills and saws and fucking loud explosive percussions, of course our fucking hearing is going to go away.
Right.
It's very different to be working an office job. I'm willing to bet that those men don't lose their hearing the way that men who work outside with construction equipment do, because none of us are wearing fucking ear protection. Most of us don't wear eye protection unless OSHA's around. Like I've been out in the garage with a fucking grinder with no glasses on. I've actually had metal in my eye, and you would think that would be enough.
I have walked out there and you're like, I should have been wearing fucking gloves.
Yeah, because I've got metal wedged in my hands. You spent an hour pulling fucking scrap metal out of my palm one day.
I want to touch on that real quick because I don't know if I understand it properly. So the way that I heard that is that women hear at a higher frequency over time and men hear at a lower frequency over time.
Women lose the low frequency, men lose the high frequency. That's what it says.
Okay. Is that a bad thing? Is she saying that as a bad thing? Because that makes sense to me. I don't want to be able to fucking hear everything. I'm already overwhelmed with everything that I am hearing. If you got my 6 and you're like, hey, babe, 6 o'clock.
Right.
I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even hear that. Thank you. I don't.
It's the next paragraph gets into autism in men. So
Okay.
it's going to explain this a little bit.
Okay.
You have to keep in mind that I got this entire book done in an hour and a half. So this chapter took me like 6 minutes.
Okay.
So this is taking me way longer to go over it than it did to hear
Well,
it.
we're talking about it.
Right.
So.
I wouldn't have been able to read it as fast as I did with the audiobook because it was on 2.3 times the speed.
Yeah.
Okay. Autism in women is much less than in men. In fact, experts say autism is more common in men than in women. But why so? Even experts do not have an accurate answer. There are two ways of thinking. First, it is thought that women have only a mild form of autism so that women can easily hide their problems, and men are always suffering from autism. The second type of opinion is that modern life with more rigorous social standards makes men more stressed and more prone to autism. I gotta be honest, I think some of this is bullshit.
Yeah, because autism in adults I thought was more women
I don't know.
from
I
the research
know-
that I've done.
I know that 1 in 36 men are being born autistic right now. Men. This is
Yeah.
the study that I read said men, not children. So I don't know. I don't know if that's higher than what it would be for women, but this is in the way that I read that thing. When I heard it, I had to pause because it made me feel like she was saying that if you disassociate,
You're autistic.
you're autistic, and that's compartmentalization. That's not
Right.
autism. That's being able to go, okay, this is important right now. The rest of this isn't.
Right.
You know that we only take like 0.001% of information in that we see.
Oh gosh, yeah, there's millions of stimuli and we can only process 1,000 of it at a time.
Right. So we are effectively blind to what's really going on around us because of how much our brain can actually filter through our eyeballs.
Right. Well, we only have a capacity for so much.
Right. So is that autism or is that just the way that we're built?
The human experience.
Right. Okay. She then wrote, remembering information, women's memory is like a big chest of drawers and everything is well positioned. Women keep in mind exactly the information about most people they've ever met and everything that has happened. For example, the date of birth of a loved one, friends, what food they would like to eat, what their children would need in school. Give those things to women and they'll do it for you. In a nutshell, women's memory is very good. By contrast, men generally only remember what they perceived as important. I kind of agree with that too, to a degree.
Okay. Can
So
you read it for me one more time?
Women's memory is like a big chest of drawers and everything is well positioned. Women keep in mind exactly the information about most people they've ever met and everything that has happened. For example, the date of birth of a loved one, friends, what food they would like to eat, or what their children need to go to school. Give those things to a woman and they will do it for you. In a nutshell, women's memory is very good. By contrast, men generally only remember what they perceived as important.
She just sounds like she hates men.
Right. Right?
Yeah, she just...
This is so I agree to an extent with this because women are much better at remembering dates.
Yeah, sometimes. I can barely remember people's names, though.
Because it's not important to you,
Like...
right? Like if you sat down with somebody and had a conversation
Camera.
in a situation where you knew that somebody was going to be important, you would remember that. Like you can remember my food orders for everything I eat. I can't remember yours for most of everything.
Well, I also make it a point to remember those things.
Because it's important.
Because it is important, yeah.
So we prioritize things differently. To say that men only remember what they perceived as important is bullshit because men can rebuild a transmission without a fucking manual, right? Like we can do a whole lot of things if we've had to do it because we prioritize important things.
Okay.
Cut that. So that's one of those things that is, it comes down to the things that are important. You prioritize what is important to you. It's like that across the board. It doesn't matter if it's a name, a date, a job, whatever. So in that paragraph, even though the paragraph is bullshit, what she should have said is we put emphasis on different things. Men and women prioritize things differently.
Which highlights how
The way that we work.
that we're different.
Right. That makes a whole lot more sense than what she just said.
Am I still muted?
You're not muted, but the camera's on me. Okay. I never muted you.
I didn't know if you did or not. Sorry, you guys have to listen to me cough.
I'm going to read one more paragraph and then put this book away.
Okay.
Because this book is bullshit.
Yeah.
Do multiple things at the same time. Men usually focus on one thing, such as he is shaving, and you want to ask something, then there will be no answer. On the contrary, women can do many things at the same time. Some people suggest that the brain function of the two is different since their role in the family from the past was different. Men have played a pivotal role in the family thousands of years ago, so they had to focus only on hunting. But women are different. They had to keep looking after the children, teach them who they are, help others, etc. And to this day, even though society has grown so much, it still exists. They say women have 3 heads and 6 hands. So we are capable of one task at a time, and you guys can do a whole lot of shit, and we're just Neanderthals that can only focus on one thing at a time.
That's bullshit, because I have to look at the children and go, I am doing something right now. I cannot have a conversation at the same time. I want to be able to give you my undivided attention. Please give me 5 minutes. This whole book is bullshit.
Yeah. So the reason that I even pulled the book off the shelf and brought it in here today so that we can talk about that is because I do believe that we prioritize things differently. And there are times that you and I can have a conversation while I'm playing a game and listening to an audiobook, and I can retain all of it. If I'm shaving, I can have a full-fledged conversation with you and still shave my fucking face.
Right. Because it's robotic at that point.
It's automated.
You don't have to think about shaving your face. You've done it for 40 years. Who's the author of this book?
Erica Bradley.
Erica Bradley. I just want you to know, after hearing a little blurb from this book, I believe that you don't appreciate men. I believe that this whole book was contrived is not the word, concocted, made up to further feed into women are superior.
There is some decent information in there about healing after a divorce or a cheating.
Is it decent though?
There is some decent information, like taking time for yourself and letting go of resentment and trying to keep distance until you're emotionally healed. Like there are some decent things in there. But what I got from that book is that she fucking hates men.
Yeah.
And I noticed it when I was listening to it, because she wasn't calling women cheaters. Like it was always men. Men were the problem. So
because it's never a woman's fault that she cheats. It's always the outside circumstances. Men are the only one who can be wrong in the cheating.
She actually didn't say any of that.
No, she doesn't have to. That's the message that I got.
Okay. Yeah. There was
That's how that comes across to me. The whole women can do this, but men can't do it because they're simplistic.
Right.
That's how that reads to me. I'm uninterested in anything that puts down the opposite gender that I'm trying to fucking be a partner with.
There's a difference between need and want. And that's going to lead into another email. So that was a really good segue, because that's going to lead into our first email that we read.
Perfect.
I would like to point out another reason why I pulled this off the shelf is because we ingest a lot.
Oh my God, we do.
And like we find, that was very loud.
I know. I'm sorry.
We find really good information and sources that we fuck with, and we pass that along. But in order to find that one book, we're reading 3 or 4 books and just get a little snippet of information that, you know what I mean? That we can just regurgitate and tell you guys about it. And then there's shit like this where we read an entire book and there's nothing there.
Yes.
I definitely think that the way that men and women perceive the world around them is very different. And I think that comes down to traditional gender roles. That good, huh?
This egg is so good.
I think that comes down to traditional gender roles. I think that as we prioritize our lives and work as a team, the things that we need to do are very different. If my job is to protect, provide, lead the house, and make sure that you guys are taken care of, and your job is to make sure that we're not missing birthdays and doctor's appointments, and you don't have to worry about one side, and I don't have to worry about one side, that's a fucking team effort. Like,
oh, that's a win.
We're like the power of 2 combined. Like right. That's a thing. But to break it down into a way that it's shitting on somebody or making somebody else seem less than, isn't that exactly what the issue is? Isn't that why people were saying that women weren't fucking, they were second-class citizens because they weren't appreciated and they weren't allowed to vote on our own credit cards or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So now the roles have reversed. We're fucking stupid and can't focus on 2 things at once. Yeah.
What did you say before I violently hacked?
That I can focus on multiple things at once.
Okay,
I assure you.
Yes, you can. My husband does it better than I do. It blows my mind that you can have music going and you're researching something and you're also typing up something for the podcast. I can be on one train and I'm trying not to fall off this train. Like,
I disagree. Hold on, I disagree with that though.
Okay.
Because I've watched you do that. I've watched you cook dinner Listen to a murder mystery podcast and make notes for something else that you're working on.
Okay.
It's not a matter of you can't do it. It's the things that we prioritize that is important to us gets easy.
Okay. That didn't even dawn on me. You're right. I do that.
It doesn't get easier. You get better. So as you learn something, you don't have to hyperfixate and focus on it as much anymore because now you understand it, right? So now you don't have to on it. Okay.
I'm also now pondering, because of the way that this book was written, did she really heal? Or did she do it in a way that just validated herself after she was cheated on?
I don't know.
And with that, I'm going to take a sip.
It says on the cover, understanding why we cheat, how to find forgiveness and rebuild trust in your relationship.
Understanding why we cheat, but we're only talking about men cheating?
Well, that's the way that it was worded.
Okay.
Whenever she talked about a woman cheating, she didn't specify women. She said partners or your partner. But
That's
when
very
she talked
telling.
about men cheating or what men are doing, it was always men.
And that's very telling. We're able to read between the lines.
Let's do the email. That is not the TikTok transcription one.
Yes, this is the other one.
Okay.
I'm just going to get into it.
Sure.
Hello. I decided to email you after I saw one of your clips that mentioned all the hate you guys get. And instead, I wanted to show you some love. I just want to take a second and appreciate that because it is overwhelming.
Yeah.
Everything is overwhelming. It's a lot of stimuli. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to process. And every day there's something new to process. And unfortunately, a big part of that is the hate. It's not the key part of it, but it is a big part. So knowing that a kind person is taking the time out of their day to say something nice to us is... I know you guys do it all the time. You do.
We get tons of thank you emails.
We do. I just want you to know we treasure it. Every nice thing you say, all of the caring that you guys have for us, telling me to drink warm tea. Thank you. Oh, fuck.
What is that?
I'm drying the tears.
Suck them back in, babe.
Okay. Oh, man. My eyes feel minty now. Minty? Okay. I don't want to make this email too long, so please feel free to reach out if you would like me to expand on anything. A little background on me. I'm 32, long-term relationship, not married, child-free by choice, love kids, just not for us. I fucking get it.
I can respect the shit out of that.
Yeah. The kids are a lot. I'm gonna be that mom. I'm gonna be brutally honest right now. There are days where I'm like, what the fuck did I do? I'm not built for this.
Yeah.
They're hard days. But those thoughts happen. It definitely is a lot. So if somebody can just stand up and say, I can't have kids because I'm just not the person, I would rather you say that than abuse the fuck out of them. Right. Yeah. Very career driven, outgoing, struggled with some very serious mental health issues most of my life, doing a lot better currently. Not religious, but I respect others' beliefs and do see the beauty in having faith. The words, I don't need a man, have been coming out of my mouth for years, and it's still true. However, now I would like to add, but I do want a partner. Excuse me.
So that was part of the reason that I wanted this. We don't need anyone. We want them. However, using the phrase, I don't need a man, it's your chant. It's your battle cry. Like,
yeah, that is your motto for life. People hear phrases and then think of somebody. I used to be thought of. When someone would say, fuck all men, oh, that's Peach. That's just a crazy thing to think about. For years, she went by, don't need a man, and that's how people thought of you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That was just...
No, you're good. That whole, I don't need a man, it's a battle cry. Independent woman don't need no man. Like, that whole stupid nonsense. But if you want one, I would rather be wanted than needed.
Right, because if you need me, that means that you are incapable of doing something on your own. Children need to be fed, right? With a newborn infant, if you don't feed that child's not going to make it. That's a need. That's a necessity. I agree with you.
Could you imagine how stupid it would sound if men run around going, I'm an independent man, I don't need no woman? That whole thing is just fucking asinine.
They would be looked at as a pussy. Because all of the other men would be like, you're a man, shut up.
Right.
It wouldn't be tolerated. At least I hope it wouldn't be. I don't know. Times are changing.
I have lots of your hair and stuck in my clothes, and I keep catching it on the light. I'm like, what is that shiny thing? Oh,
It's me.
okay.
Little tokens of my love for you. Oh, it's so hard to fight intrusive thoughts sometimes. I want to clarify. Oh, that might have been a typo. I want to clarify my understanding, so please feel free to correct me. Without trying to oversimplify your relationship, it's my understanding that you refer to your relationship as being very traditional in structure and values. When I listen to your podcast, I don't see just a traditional relationship. With all due respect, I also see a relationship built on a partnership, which is why I think the traditional aspect of the relationship works. A partnership is the traditional. Aren't all relationships partnerships? My friendships, my friends, we get something from one another, and it's a partnership. There's so much running through my mind right now. Sorry, go ahead.
We are at a point now where people believe that if you were in a traditional relationship, that somebody's being used and abused.
Correct.
They don't understand that a woman having a role in a home makes her an asset. The husband having a role outside of the home and bringing things to the table makes him an asset. And the two of you together makes a fucking team that works the way that God intended it to work, if that's the way you want to look at it. It doesn't matter if it's traditional values or not. If you guys have defined characteristics of who's doing what in a relationship and you come together and you fucking do it, that's going to work. That's what a true teamwork looks like. We have the traditional aspect because I work and you're the stay-at-home mom. Technically, you're an entrepreneur now and we both work.
Right.
But we have traditional values and we have gender roles. I don't cook and clean.
No, you don't.
But I make sure the cars are taken care of, and I handle our life outside of the home. So we do still have a traditional relationship, even though we are both business owners now and we're doing the thing. Mm-hmm. That doesn't take away from the gender roles that we have in our house. When you say traditional marriage, that's what it is. And if it wasn't for the podcast, you would still be a stay-at-home wife, and I would be doing everything that I was doing before. That's the way that we built the foundation of our whole thing. But I don't think that it's fair to look at all traditional relationships as not a partnership or teamwork, because in doing that, you're taking credibility away from stay-at-home women.
Right.
The amount of workload that stay-at-home women have is a lot. Their workload is spread out. It's not the same as being at home all day long. Like being at work all day long. It's a very different expectation. And when you look at it, it looks very different. But to take that away from somebody, like, I had a problem with that. When I read this email, I know she was trying to be positive and like say that we have a partnership and that's great, but our traditional values fucking matter to us.
Oh, they are part of me. Being a traditional wife is part of my identity. This is who I am as a person. Being the traditional wife and being able to take care of my home, I take pride in that. If I didn't, and being traditional wasn't a part of me, everything would fall apart. I am a little insulted by that too, because I am not just one thing. I'm an amalgamation of things. I'm trying not to be emotional. I'm an emotional brain. And I'm like, no, don't say that. No, don't say that.
Yeah, that's good.
No, that's not the thing to say. That's why I'm just staring off into space. We wouldn't have the relationship we have, I thoroughly believe, if we didn't have the traditional values that we have.
I agree.
Our partnership would not be what it is without the traditional values. If we just had traditional values, I believe that we would be miserable. If I just cooked and cleaned and you just worked and we didn't care about each other and we just had traditional values, it's not a relationship.
Doesn't that sound like marriage in today's climate? That's what marriage is now for everyone that's in the roommate phase that hates their fucking partner, that's just getting along to get along.
Yep.
I would also like, and I'm going to speak for myself when I say this, our traditional gender roles allows me to, I don't want to say feel like a man, because that's not quite how I mean it, but it gives me perspective and something to work for. And because of that, it allows me to live my life as what I believe a man's supposed to be. Right. And I look at you doing the mom thing and the stay-at-home wife thing and checking on my mental health, and us doing the team thing as being that supportive feminine role in the household, the divine feminine in her fucking glory. And it makes me want to hold you up to a different standard. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, I agree with all of that, because of what we have, I have never felt more like a woman. I take a lot of pride in our house being taken care of and cooking good meals. And when you walk in, it feels like a home and it's peace for you. seeing you be that motherfucker, and I know when you come home, we're going to cuddle on the couch. I hold the title of a man to a different standard now, 100%.
Could you imagine?
I love that you're laughing. Let's go.
Could you imagine if you were that strong, independent, I don't need no man type of woman, and I came home and you were having a bad day at work, and you were like, I'm having a bad day, and I was like, suck it up, pussy, and I fucking just went about my life and treated you like one of the bros because you're not in your feminine and you're in your masculine, and that's how I view that. Where is the compassion and the love in that? Because that's how I would treat Sean.
Right.
If he was like, dude, I'm really going through it, I would listen for a minute and be like, okay, so what are you gonna do about it? You don't have any type of resolution. Let's try to come up with a resolution. He's like, if I just want to complain, pussy,
Yeah.
suck the fuck up, bro. Like life happens. Figure your shit out.
Right.
And he treats me the same way, and I respect him for it. We're gonna problem solve. If you just want to complain, get a therapist, bro. Like,
Yeah.
but that's man shit. That's the way that we interact. That's how me and most of my friends interact. I will be empathetic and I will listen to you once in a while when you've got a problem. But if you are always that problematic person,
Right. Like,
you
bro,
have
every time I message you, there's a problem.
got to get away from me.
Yeah.
Just like we were talking about earlier.
Yep. Ooh, I had a thing. I haven't taken my lion's mane in a week.
You'll get it.
That's you and Sean. Oh, baby, come back. You can blame it all on me.
I
It's
was wrong,
Hey,
and I just can't live without you.
Whoo! Baby, come back.
As I'm fucking stuffing a pork roll in my face.
How is the chicken one? Is it
It's
good?
not bad.
Okay, that's dope. Hell yeah. Oh, man, it was a good thought, too.
Must not have been that good because you forgot.
No, because now I'm thinking about how you conduct yourself in your other relationships versus our relationship. And then I thought about how I conduct myself in my other relationships versus our relationship. You would tell him to suck it up. You would listen. You would be empathetic. It's slightly coming back. The only sentence I'm getting is I'm the baby. But I'm the baby because I'm the baby. I'm not Genghis Khan. Like, and there are women. Genghis Khan is that dude, right? He was the Mongol.
Yes.
Okay.
His name was actually pronounced Changus.
Really?
Yeah.
Changus. There are women out there who it is World War III when their man walks into the door. You would not love me tenderly the way that you do if I was sandpaper.
Right. I think there has to... camera.
Okay.
I think there has to be a balance between us. Right? And if I have to be that motherfucker out in the real world, I don't want to be that motherfucker at home. I want to let my guard down. And if I have to live behind walls all the time, you're never going to be able to get past those walls. That's not a healthy place for me to be. You cannot be on guard 24/7 for the rest of your life and live a good, healthy life. I also want to point out that while you were doing all of that, it speaks to the difference between how many hats we wear as people. Because the relationship that you and I have is very different than the relationship Zach and I have. It's very different than the relationship Sean and I have. It's very different than any other relationship that I have because you're my woman.
Right.
We-
And same for me.
We treat each other very differently than the rest of the world because we don't have a wall between us. We have a wall around us.
Yes.
So as long as we are doing what we're supposed to be doing for each other, it cultivates that compassion and the empathy and knowing that, like, I don't have to, I can, raise the portcullis and you can come and go as you please. I don't have to worry about that. I think that's important to think about. Like, and I think that speaks a lot on the traditional gender roles. If you've got a good man, you can be in your feminine. If you've got a good woman, you don't have to worry about the vulnerabilities of things. I don't have to worry about in the event that I have a nervous fucking breakdown that you're going to look at me differently. I know that there's a lot of fear for people. I'm not worried about that at all.
I'm not worried about that either.
So
I was just thinking that we have seen the uglier parts of each other.
right.
I'm not going to claim to see you at your ugliest. I know I haven't. And when we have those uglier moments, even when there's frustration, when like one of us can't understand what's going on, and the other person also becoming frustrated because I've said it 50 times, I can't find other words, there is still a tenderness in all of it.
Right.
And there is a compassion, there is an empathy. And I'm going to speak for me personally, I would not be able to overcome the things that I do internally if you were not the man that you are.
I need you to elaborate.
I used to be ashamed of crying. It was an amalgamation of things. I would feel ashamed of crying. I would feel like I'm a manipulator because I cry. And that would make me feel like shit. So I would suppress my emotions because I don't want to be viewed that way. And you gave me the room to just be a woman. You let me cry and not say, suck it up. You're fucking crying again? Are you kidding me? What is it this time?
You're the female Bert Kreischer with the way that you cry.
I'm the what?
You're the female Bert Kreischer, the way you cry.
You told me about him.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
Yes.
But he's one of those people that can tell a story that's happy and will start crying. Cut that. He's a comedian who will start crying at a joke. And he's happy and laughing and crying. He can't control it. He's just a crier. It's fucking hysterical to me because it's part of what makes him funny, because he'll be standing up there telling a joke, laughing and crying at the same time. It's fucking hysterical.
He leans into it.
But you are that person. Like you feel happiness and will cry. You'll feel mad and you will cry. You will feel sorrow and you will cry. That's a beautiful thing to me because I can't cry like that. I can only let a little bit out at a time because I'm afraid of opening the floodgates. I had 2 nervous breakdowns in my life. I don't want to have another one.
I believe that you are capable of being that person.
Yeah.
I do. I think the first time it will be like a natural disaster. The dam is going to break and it's going to be like fucking nonstop for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then I think the next time you cry, it's going to be a little bit less.
Yeah. I don't want to find that out.
Why?
Because the last time I had a 3 or 4 hour cry session, I Baker acted myself.
Right. But we weren't together and you didn't have me as a support. And it's something to consider. You are a very emotional man. Not in a negative way, but you are.
I have the feels.
You're a very beautiful person. And I don't mean that in a stupid way or to try to be funny. Every human experience is different, and being able to see you live your life the way you live your life and cope the way you cope and grow the way that you've grown. It's like I'm fucking looking at the Mona Lisa or that fucking thinking statue carved out of marble. I fully believe that you're capable of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you too.
Can I have a hug? Even with our lifestyle/relationships are structured, even though our lifestyles and relationships are structured very differently, I can see a lot of similarities between them, and thus have been able to learn a lot listening to your podcast. Some examples of non-traditional aspects of myself and my relationship. These will be all superficial, so I don't take up too much of your time. I make more money and work longer hours than my partner. He has a great job as well. He manages our money because I suck. That's not non-traditional. Some examples of non-traditional aspects of myself and my relationship. He manages our money. That's traditional. Is it not?
For the most part, it is. So, for the most part, it was that men made the money. Some people believe that women handled the finances, which is why women were able to go to the store and fucking use the man's name to buy groceries, even though he was then responsible for the debt. Mm-hmm. But I believe that it is a man's duty to make sure that the bills are taken care of financially and he's bringing it in. Some people just aren't good with handling money. Some people are bad at math. I don't math. I can handle our finances and handle our money because I'm good at that. But knowing measurements, weights, and money is very different than knowing algebra or, you know what I mean?
This next one I'm going to say is a bullshit bullet point that shouldn't have been included.
Okay.
I have a much higher sex drive. What does that have to do with anything on a traditional aspect of a relationship?
I agree.
Absolutely nothing. And I'm not being shitty. I'm very congested right now, so if I sound different, that's why it's coming up. But I say that because the depth of your relationship, sex is a bonus. The fact that y'all get to play around, that is the cherry on top of that really dope Sunday.
Right.
It's also showing me that there is not a grasp of what a relationship is. Because it is very surface level. These will be superficial as to not take up much of your time. I can tell this is superficial. I would have preferred you taking up our time because I'm slightly judging this.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
Think of how to word this. If there was not a negative emphasis put on traditional values, because there is.
There is 100%.
And we actually didn't say that we had a traditional marriage, and we never...
So sorry.
never put out that you cook and clean and I handle the finances, and we never labeled any of that. And we just talked about what relationships are. There would be no negative about our relationship. People would not have shit to say. The issue that they have is that we talk about you having roles in the house and I have roles outside of the home, and we have set expectations that have been written down that we adhere to so that we know what each other's jobs are and know when things are starting to slack, that we can pinpoint like, hey, this isn't getting done. Are you okay? People would look at that and be like, that's super dope. You guys have a teamwork. You guys have a functioning relationship. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's 50-50. I don't see how it's not 50-50. I don't see my job as being the protector, provider, leader as a burden. Just like you don't see being a stay-at-home wife or a mom as a burden. We see it as doing the best that we fucking can to have the best possible life we can. It's not chaos. We're not arguing over whose jobs are what. We're not fucking, you didn't do your chores this week, you're not getting an allowance. Like, there's none of that.
Oh no, let's make it more realistic. You didn't do your chores this week, so we're not having sex.
Ooh, I wasn't going to go there, but you did.
I did. There is a lot of honor in my role in everything in my life. Being a wife, being a mom, being a homemaker. There is a lot of honor in it for me. Watching Shogun, and we got totally different things from that show.
We really fucking
We did. I was enamored with the way the women conducted themselves back then. It was all flowy and graceful. And even in a very tense moment, they still had an etiquette about them. And I aspire to be that. And above all, they had honor in being who they were as women. Looking around at marriages today and wives and mothers, there is not an honor in, I'm not going to give a percentage, but a lot. And we can see it on TikTok. We can see it on Facebook. We can see it on husband bashing groups.
Go ahead.
No, I'm hung up on the honor thing because people hear that and they go, oh, she's just brainwashed.
Right.
I have gone on a very long spiritual journey over this last year, especially since finding my faith. And we hear all the time, you're just here for a blip. Your life is so small in the grand scheme of the millions of years that the earth has been here.
Fight Club said on a long enough timeline, the extinction time for everything becomes zero. Mm-hmm. So in a long enough timeline, we wouldn't even have existed.
Yeah. So my existence, pardon me, means more than just I'm here to make me happy. Does that make sense?
Could you elaborate?
I'm going to take it to an extreme a little bit. When somebody unalives themselves, we will always hear somebody say that was selfish of them because they have other people around who love them. Why can't the same thing be said when we're alive and in these roles of wife, mother, nurse, doctor, whatever? There is a lack of a grasp of the importance of our lives. Does that make sense? From my observation of humanity, because we're seeing it divorced 4 times. This is my 5th wife. This is my 6th husband. I have 3 baby daddies.
You know that the divorce rate goes up after every marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I believe that it boils down to part of it being a lack of honor in the roles that we have and a lack of being alive, being taken seriously.
You can see... I see a lot of what you saw in Shogun. I did see that, that there is definitely a difference between the duties of people, right? But you can also see that in shows like the 1823 or whatever, the Yellowstone spinoff with Harrison Ford. Yep. All the men in that show were super dirty, grungy, and all the women were really clean, right? Like there's something about that. Like we're made to be that way. And maybe we're not. Maybe we're all meant to just be fucking creatures covered in mud. But we have developed that, and I like that.
My vagina would say differently. Yeah.
Interesting.
The pH balance and everything down there, no. Look at tribes in Africa. When women can't bathe, they will still steam themselves to stay hygienic. Yeah. I believe that is a necessity for women to be clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to touch on something. This might get a little bit. I don't know if I'll be able to actually leave this into the podcast. I'll have to find out when I go back and listen to it again. But I don't believe that somebody control alt deleting themselves is a selfish act at all. And I think that calling it a selfish act and being angry about it
Is selfish.
is the selfish act. Because if somebody is living in pain and misery, they're the ones who has to experience their pain and misery, no one else. And if people cared as much while they were alive as they do when they're gone, in that show of, oh my God, how could they do this? Maybe that person wouldn't have felt alone. So what you're really doing is trying to save face because you failed the people that you claim to love.
Yep.
Right? Like, I have a hard time with that shit because I've been to that point. Like, I have been to that point.
Yeah. The thing that really irritates me when it comes to that topic is people saying, I can't believe they done this to me.
Right.
Bitch, where were you when their cry for help was there?
Right.
The multiple cries for help. I can't believe you've done this to them.
Yeah.
Being failed by so many people in their lives. On to the next bullet point. We have very different friend groups and interests.
So what? How is that? What?
That has nothing to do with traditional values or being in a traditional relationship.
Well, okay. So what if she's hanging out with a bunch of dudes and he's hanging out with a bunch of women? That would kind of fall into that because we have, but that's not a traditional gender role thing. That's a Chris and Peaches thing.
Yeah. That is a Chris and Peaches thing. Yep. Next bullet point is we don't want kids. I don't believe you have to have kids to have traditional values or a traditional relationship.
I disagree with that one. Traditional relationships are family based. So I do believe that to a degree there is an expectations for children if you have a traditional marriage. I should have switched cameras and I didn't. That's okay. I'm done.
Okay. Next one is he does more of the day-to-day housework. I still cook most nights since I enjoy it, and I like to deep clean on weekends.
So he does the once over
and she
throughout
does
the week,
cleans.
and she does the deep cleaning.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be technically viewed as traditional because he's helping while you're not there because you said you work more than he does.
Yeah. Yeah. I do view that to be traditional. You're still cooking most nights, and you're doing the deep clean on the weekends. I'm sorry, I'm so uptight about cleaning.
I'm not. I love that I don't have to clean.
Okay. Because I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, my husband could help me clean the house. And I was like, can he though?
I've actually tried to help and got lectured. So
I know. It's a me thing. It's 100% a me thing.
So I don't even try anymore. But that's fine by me because that means that when I'm not working, I don't have to think.
Right.
I don't have to worry about shit.
And that's my goal.
Right. I have to worry about the things that I have to worry about. That's the whole fucking point of having the teamwork and having the predetermined roles. I don't have to worry about that shit. You don't have to worry about the shit that I worry about. I've said it on the podcast several times. You don't even know how much your fucking car payment is.
No.
I worry about that shit.
I don't know how much it costs to pay off the car. I don't know how much it costs to get an oil change. I don't know how much the tires are. I don't even know what the lights on the car mean. Hey, babe, I'm going to send you a picture real quick. This is going on.
But that's not your concern. It's mine.
Right.
It's teamwork.
That is teamwork. I've been lucky enough to find a partner that compliments me in basically every aspect that I need as I try to do for him. I know you've never hated or dissed on non-traditional relationships, and my goal isn't to say that traditional relationships do not work. I guess my point to all of this is to say keep doing what you're doing. If people can't see your content and take in what resonates with them while respecting the aspects that don't, that is their loss.
I agree with that.
I also agree with that. I wish you both love, happiness, and success in every aspect of your lives.
Well, thank you for that.
And I will reverse that and wish the same thing on you. I don't know how to move this.
Just leave it there.
Okay,
we'll delete it when we're done.
Because it's like an actual, I can type on that.
Yeah, no, it's because it's a Google document, not a PDF. That's because I did this right before we sat down.
Heard.
There was because that whole conversation just, it kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
Because I know that people hear traditional value relationship or traditional value marriage and they get all in their feelings about it when they don't fucking understand.
Yeah.
They don't. They hear what they've been told by social media and feminists and all of that nonsense when there are a lot of people who have traditional values that are fucking thriving in life.
Right.
I believe that. So, and granted, there's always going to be the case of people who have a bad experience, but they have bad experiences whether they're traditional or not. People have narcissistic husbands who are actual narcissistic husbands, or they have abusive men or women in their lives. Mm-hmm. That has nothing to do with the relationship and everything to do with the person. And when you put the traditional value label on those relationships and had a shitty person in the relationship, well, it's because they had traditional values that the relationship didn't work. No, he was beating the fuck out of her, was a drunk.
He was a piece of shit.
Right.
He was the problem.
Right. Where she was fucking his best friend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, it didn't work because she needed to be ethical, non-monogamous, and they were in a traditional marriage. So, like, he should have never constrained her to those. It's always something. It's always fucking something instead of going, those two just weren't meant to be together.
Yeah. You want to do this TikTok transcribe?
Yeah, this is just going to be a read. I think this might bother you.
This?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it shows how uninformed and detached a wife is to her husband after 15 years of marriage.
Oh, yeah, that's going to bother me. I have to blow my nose.
It's not from a place of ugliness.
I will believe you that it's not from a place of ugliness, but it's disheartening. We have a son. Like.
Yep, it's a lot.
I've been married to my husband for 10 years, and only now do I realize I never really understood what he wanted. I feel like such a terrible wife. My husband, a 38-year-old male, and I dated for 2 years before getting married. We also dated for a year and a half during our college years. My husband is a good man. He works from home as a tech executive, starting his day at 7:30 a.m. and finishing at 6 p.m. every day. In addition to this, he does the laundry, most of the cooking, meal planning, and spends all of his time with me and his extended family. When he's not working, he spends his free time on projects around our property, such as small renovations. He renovated our entire home in the south when we bought it and made improvements to our yard, including a huge deck, a fancy patio, pergolas. What is a pergolas? Pergola? That sounds like a flower bush. I don't know what that is. And custom wood furniture. He is completely supportive of me, encourages me positively, and pushes me to pursue my interest. I couldn't ask for a better partner. He is a dream come true. My husband does well professionally and doesn't spend money on much beyond tools for our renovation projects.
Pause. Camera. Can you go back and read the part about she couldn't ask for a better partner, blah, blah, blah?
I couldn't ask for a better partner. He is a dream come true. My husband does well professionally and doesn't spend money on much beside tools for our renovation projects.
Okay. So he's the perfect partner. Couldn't ask for anything more. And yet she started this thing. To be clear, this came off of TikTok. It's probably from Reddit. I know it's from Reddit. But she basically just said that she doesn't know her husband at all, but called him the perfect person. Which means
her dream person,
which means this entire marriage has been about her and not about him in any way, shape, or form. This is not partnership.
No. He's always been difficult to give meaningful gifts to. For Christmas this year, he didn't ask for anything. When I asked him what he would like for Christmas, he told me that he didn't need anything. This is his default response for any gift-giving occasion, his birthday, Christmas. He'd asked me in the past to specifically not to give him anything for Valentine's Day or our anniversary.
Sounds familiar, huh?
Yes, that does sound familiar. I'm going to be honest. I have spent a lot of my time racking my brain on how to give to you because you still want to be thought of. And I do little things like buying you your favorite candy bar every once in a while when I'm out and about, or surprise you with your favorite dinner. But when I think of buying you a gift, I'm looking at like a $10,000 bottle of whiskey.
But I don't need that. Let me go back with cameras for this. Go ahead.
You said you don't need that.
I don't. You know what I want?
Tell me.
I want memories.
Okay.
I want to die on my deathbed going, remember that time? Yeah, I remember that time. Or crying about how happy it was. Can't take any of this shit with me. It's all fucking material. And I know that. And I know that I can make more money. I can always make more money. I'm skilled. I have a work ethic like most people will never understand. So I can go and do whatever the fuck I want to do in life. And I do. but I want the memories. I'm going to remember Thailand.
Are you saying that I'm the gift? Stop.
I'm hiding mine now, so
I'm having a really good day with you today, babe.
that shit matters. Most men are that way. There are people out there who are super superficial and just want cool shit, but they're not willing to work hard enough to get it. It's no different than me going, I wish I could look like a bodybuilder, but I know that I'm not willing to do the work to get there because I have other things that I prioritize in my life. And I like cheeseburgers and brownies.
Oh, they're so good.
So I'm not going to ever have that look because it's not my dream.
Right.
It'd be nice to have, but like, so there are people out there who expect people to buy them shit and do all of that. I understand that, but it's not, this email is going to get into that. She doesn't know her husband. She doesn't know what makes him tick. So much so that she has not listened in things that have been said in passing. And you'll get it. You will absolutely understand it because I know for a fact, just read the email. I'll wait because there's no point in spoiling it. I actually read this entire thing or listened to the TikTok.
Okay. This has always made me want to put more effort in, but the truth is the more effort I put in, the less he seems to like whatever I give him. So I made a TikTok once where I said, are you the perfect wife or are you the perfect wife for him? Because you think you could be doing everything right because that's what a wife is supposed to do, but you're not cookie cutter.
Right.
Every man is different. I don't want to hear how you're a perfect wife. How are you a perfect wife for your husband?
Right.
All right.
There's a fucking difference.
Because there is. He tells me he likes whatever I give him, but his smile isn't authentic, and he doesn't seem to express any real interest beyond the moment. He's a shell of a man.
Yep.
He doesn't own much beyond tools and a non-collectible sneaker collection. He just like relatively mundane sneakers and books, most of which are work-related. So he has no interests.
He does. He fucking does.
You mean like the renovations and whatnot?
You'll get to it.
Okay. Before his birthday this year, I asked him what he wanted. He said, I don't need anything. I'm pausing a lot. At this point, I'd be frustrated that you're still asking me.
Okay. We'll come back. I'm going to make a note.
Okay.
I'm going to make a note. We're going to come back to some of this shit.
Okay.
Would you say frustrated over asking?
Asking what you want, yes. For a gift.
Okay.
I mulled over this and fell down a rabbit hole of relationship advice on the internet. This led me to ask him what he would like to do on his birthday. He said he had chores to do and hoped to spend his birthday, which fell on a Sunday, completing house projects. I wasn't satisfied with this, so I later asked him, what would be a nice thing to do on your birthday? I wasn't satisfied with this? Mm-hmm. Okay. For all of the chronically online people, that would be a tick for a narcissistic trait.
Right.
All right. He looked at me for a moment and started talking. Can you switch it?
Yep. Sorry, guys. Good.
Is Janae here? At what point should I go to a doctor about this?
I think you just pulled a muscle in your abdomen.
This fucking sucks.
It does. I've done it before. It's not pleasant.
Oh my gosh.
You don't realize how much your abs are involved. Remember how it felt after you had your surgery?
Yes.
Your abs are involved in everything. They're your core stabilizing muscles. That and your multifidus that wraps around your body. Anyways.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Right there in the bottom. That little belt. Oh my man. All right. We live on Long Island, New York. On the South Shore is a series of bays and barrier islands with beaches. There's a causeway that connects the main island to the beaches. A causeway is like a canal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We visit the beach several times a week in the summer, driving over the causeway. He said he thinks it would be nice to drive across the causeway early in the morning before the roads are busy, to drive slow and enjoy the view. He's always a driver, and it's difficult to appreciate the view while keeping an eye on the road. That's a request for connection. That is, I'm giving you what you need to love me. Okay.
It's more than that.
Okay, elaborate.
How are you going to be together with somebody for 15 years and not know that they enjoy the water? Or not know that they enjoy going over a bridge that you've gone over 100 times?
Yeah. It's a good point.
You're oblivious. Like you're not paying attention at that point.
Yeah. You know I love going over the Skyway, so every time we're about to go over it, if I'm not paying attention, you're like, babe.
Right. Right.
You're right. Man. He always wanted to be the passenger to focus entirely on the view of the sun rising over the bay and the Atlantic. Then he just smiled and turned his focus back to what he was working on. We've driven that bridge maybe 1,000 times together. He's always driven. I felt like an absolute jerk. The morning of his birthday, we woke up early, made some coffee, and I drove him over the causeway to the beaches and back. I drove slowly, and he stared out at the view on both sides of the car. We made it back over the causeway, and he asked if we could do it again. Oh, they were together for 10 years, and that's the first time she's done that for him.
Yep. 10 years and didn't know that this was a thing for him.
So we did, and when we made it off the causeway the second time, I asked if he wanted to do it again, but he said no, that he was hungry and wanted to go home. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I thought he looked happier that day than I had seen him in a long time. He felt like he fucking mattered. He busied himself working on the deck, and I closed myself in the bathroom, fighting off sobs because all he wanted for his birthday was to look at the water. I got him another dumb watch that he put with all of his other watches and never wears. I got him a watch because I didn't know the man I've been married to for a decade, who I've spent over 15 years of my life with. Maybe after the first time the watch goes in the drawer, you're like, that's not the right gift. With all of his other watches.
That he doesn't wear.
All of the other watches.
Okay, so I have a watch collection.
You do.
I like watches almost as much as I like whiskey. Oh,
Got that.
but I am also very particular about my watches and my whiskey. Mm-hmm. And if you told me that you were getting ready to buy me a watch, I would stop you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like you just did with the whiskey.
Don't. Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
And I fucking heard you.
Right.
Like,
because I am super fucking particular. It's like buying me a t-shirt. You learned that, remember?
I bought you a t-shirt once. One time.
Can't do that. I have to feel them. And like I personally will buy shit, get it, and throw it away or donate it. Most of the time it's donated, but
yeah,
because I don't like textures or like the
or
way that it fits, or you take it. Right. So I'm very particular about those things. But if it's one of those things where I felt like I needed a new watch, I would just go buy myself a new watch. Mm-hmm. She said that he's not a materialistic person. So her buying all of this shit and trying to shower him in gifts means nothing to him. He buys the things that he needs. He doesn't collect things. It's not about cool shit for him. He buys tools and occupies his time to keep himself busy. There's a difference in mind state there.
There is. I'm not a man and I'm taking this personally.
Why are you taking it personally?
Because I'm a mom and I know that this probably sounds stupid or it doesn't make sense, but I feel a very strong connection to every fucking human being on the planet. And when I see someone be an asshole, the mom in me goes, who hurt you? So hearing that this man for 15 years I view this as a neglect.
Elaborate on that.
I don't want anything material. I don't wear the watches. They get collected in a drawer. I'm telling you what I want. It's another watch for my birthday.
Okay, so let's pause because the note that I wrote down was frustrated over asking about gifts.
Yes.
I don't need anything. I don't want anything.
Right.
Because she's asking about material items.
Right.
She then went to a relationship thing online and somebody was like, well, ask him what he wants. Like, what does he want to do? Because we want to collect memories. We want to have experiences. For a man who works 80 hours a week that goes hunting on the weekend or goes fishing or fucking God forbid plays Call of Duty and all he does in his free time is play video games, well, he doesn't have any free time. So if that's what brings him joy or her joy for that matter, let him fucking have it. Like, I don't understand why this is a thing for people. If you're constantly asking me, what do you want? And I'm constantly saying nothing. Obviously, I don't want that. I don't need material shit. But if you're like, let's go to Tennessee, and I'm like, okay, and I'm online fucking buying tickets, I obviously don't want to fucking be here. I want to go travel and do shit. I'm hyped. This is nothing more than paying attention to the world around you. It's not fucking hard. Situational awareness.
Yeah. The next week, I asked him what would be a nice thing to do on Saturday. He said he always wanted to go to the Cradle of Aviation Museum ever since its major renovation. I looked it up. It reopened following that renovation in 2002. We were 14. He had basically wanted to go there his entire life and never made it. I'm going to scroll back up for a moment. Been married to my husband for 10 years. known him for 15 years. 38. What's 38 minus 15?
They weren't even together yet.
Okay. I know staples from your childhood. The dreams of your childhood, the things that you would think about to get yourself through the hard times. I couldn't imagine going 15 years without visiting a place that you wanted to go when you were 14. The day that you talk about it, I'm going to try to free up our schedule.
Right.
And we're going to fucking make it happen. Like, you're stoked, bro. I'm fucking stoked. Let's go.
Do you think it's possible that he never told her any of this?
I don't know.
Because I'm willing to bet that in a world where he is the worker and the provider and he's trying to build the life for her, he's sacrificing the things that he wants to make her happy.
Yeah.
Which good men do for their women. At some point, though, you have to go, okay, you need to take a fucking break. Like,
Right.
let's go do something that you want to do this evening. Like, you pick where we're going kind of thing. Those conversations need to happen. If all I did was work 24/7 and I didn't have
Right.
any downtime for myself, do you think that I would really be happy?
No. I would lose my husband. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I said that and then I got sad. Oh, I ask you all the time when we have nothing going on, babe, what do you want to do today? The only time I ask you what you want is if I have decision fatigue on dinner.
Right.
I'll ask you what you want when it comes to food. Or in that playful manner.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I know you're not a gift guy. That's crazy to me. Now I'm also wondering, is that how she was like always had to show love, was buy gifts for people? Is that?
Well, maybe that's her love language.
Yeah, buying the gifts.
Right. Keep reading though, because there's more. Okay. Please keep reading. There's more.
It's 20 minutes away from where we live. When I asked him why he never went, he said he'd been busy with work. So I took him to the museum. I knew he always had interest in aerospace. His father and grandparents were all involved in that industry. When we got home, he went to work on our new planters out back, and I couldn't stop myself from sobbing in the bathroom. With Father's Day coming up, I asked him what would be a nice thing to do. I always gave him a Father's Day gift from our dog, and then we had people over. I asked him what would be a nice gift. I asked him what would be a nice gift from our dog this year. He said it would be nice if we drove out to the National Cemetery of Culverton to visit his father's grave. And then he said he didn't need anything for a gift. Stop fucking asking what he wants. I know that this is already done with and like it's in the past. That would be, I don't fucking matter. How many times can I say I don't want a gift to you?
Right.
At that point, you're just willingly not listening to me to make yourself feel good.
What gets me is that this is the third time, because the first time was the bridge, the second time was the aviation thing, and now she's going again. What do you want for Father's Day from our dog?
Right.
That's the Lulu shit to me.
Yeah. When I pressed him on it, oh God, I don't need a gift. And then she pressed it. He said, I'm not a father. We don't have kids. My father's dead. I don't have anything to celebrate. And I broke down sobbing right there in front of him. He thought that I was upset about not having kids, but the truth is that we never prioritized it, and it was too late medically for me when we tried. He got fucking tired of it.
You know what I got from all of this? That this man has lived his entire life for this woman.
Yeah.
At all this time, like knowing that he's wanted to go see his father's grave on Father's Day and has not, because she has made it a point to buy him gifts from his dog and invite people over to the house. He has just suffered and just done whatever she wanted to do to make her happy.
I forgot that they had people over.
He has literally prioritized his existence around doing for her.
He had always taken a whatever happens, happens approach to parenthood, neither wanting nor not wanting children. But I was upset because I realized that he didn't want anything. I had pushed on him on Father's Day and made the mistake of prioritizing him over his feelings. His father passed weeks before our wedding. His father's goal was to live long enough to attend our wedding, but the cancer was too far along. I let him take the lead on Father's Day for 10 years without realizing his thoughts were on the other side of the island at his father's grave. I let him take the lead on Father's Day for 10 years without realizing his thoughts were on the side of the island at his father's grave.
How did he take the lead if she's been trying to buy him shit from his dog and inviting people over?
This is the last sentence.
Okay.
I failed him in our entire relationship. He asked me for absolutely nothing except to not make a fuss over him, and I failed even at that.
It's a lot, isn't it? I don't believe people pay attention anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
It's too convenient to get screen time than it is to listen when somebody's speaking, because we're so used to stimuli that we have to constantly be doing multiple things at once. Excuse me, which is why when you drive, when we drive with the radio off. Mm-hmm. And the phones are out, but they're, sitting between our legs, or they're fucking in the console charging or whatever. And we are having conversations because the only other thing I can focus on in the moment is not killing us. Driving the car. You are completely enamored in the conversation. I'm completely enamored in the conversation, and we are connecting.
Undivided attention.
Right. When we go take pictures and we're not on our phones and we're doing life shit and taking photos and walking around and doing that, you and I are engaged with each other. Hey, go stand over there. Let me take a picture of you. Like, what do you think of this? Look at the way the light hits that thing over there. Da, 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 da. We are connecting without multiple fucking distractions around us, which is why I'm able to know the things that I know about you. I listen when you fucking talk to me. And if I don't understand, I will ask. I have no problem asking clarifying questions. I'm really big on probing questions right now. Like, that is such a fucking, like, how did I ever live my life not understanding how important and how easy it is to simply be like, what do you mean? Keep going. Explain that. Like, what?
It's because you were told you were stupid if you asked.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it was definitely frowned upon. Don't question. It's because I said so kind of shit. Like, but there's no understanding in that. That makes you a drone. You're not a free thinker.
Which is what they want.
We're an hour and 43 minutes in.
Okay.
Before cuts. So we can wrap up the podcast part of this and then Q&A for a little bit. Hang out with the people on Patreon.
Yes. What about the other recordings?
Good call. So we'll wrap this up and then just do the other things.
And then just keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you done? Are you done coughing? Are you okay now?
No.
You did it. You ready to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Who's the president?
Reagan.
Okay. So then you're good.
Okay.
All right. With that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Oh, wait. We didn't even do the sign off.
Oh, we didn't.
Remember that life is a choice.
So choose to be better.
Yeah. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.